I mean, it still feels fresh. You know, I was old enough to still remember everything, so I was 10. I can remember everything, like everything. Like, I remember every little detail. Like after that, I had
In 1998, a 10-year-old girl named Ashley Fonseca faced a nightmare no child should ever know. A knife tore into her body 14 times, each stab a scream of pain and terror. That cold February night, in a small apartment on Brook Park Drive, Ashley survived. Her mother, Vivian Morris, did not. A man's obsession turned into a brutal rampage, leaving blood on the walls and scars on Ashley's body and soul that would never fully fade. 27 years later, tragedy would strike again in a devastating echo of the past. Ashley, now 37, would die just as her mother did, at the hands of a man who claimed to love her. This is a story of violence that spans generations, a haunting legacy of pain. It's about a little girl who crawled away from death, only to meet it again in a brutal act. It's about a community grappling with grief, reflecting on missed opportunities to intervene, and a woman's strength that shone through despite her suffering. Before we proceed, drop a comment of where you're watching Ashley's story from. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe for more haunting stories that deserve to be heard. Vivian Morris, Ashley's mother, was only 30 years old. She was a hard-working mom of two, including Ashley, and worked at Merit Industries, a program to help people rebuild their lives. Her stepsister described Vivian as a vibrant soul who could brighten any space with her laughter and kindness. But a shadow loomed over her life. Joseph Chappelle, a 39-year-old co-worker, became fixated on her. At first his attention seemed harmless, but Vivian wasn't interested. She went on one date with him during a strained moment with her longtime boyfriend, Yanni. When she reconciled with Yanni and made it clear there was no future with Chappelle, his fixation turned menacing. Chappelle's behavior grew hostile. Vivian's friend and co-worker, Kelly, noticed him becoming increasingly aggressive, his words laced with malice. He didn't stop at verbal harassment. He vandalized Vivian's car, slashing her tires and tampering with her gas tank, and in a cruel act, spat in her face at work just days before the tragedy. At 6 feet 2 inches and 90 pounds, Chappelle towered over Vivian, who was nearly a foot shorter and 60 pounds lighter. His imposing presence and relentless pursuit made her feel cornered, her anxiety mounting with each incident. Vivian sought help. She reported Chappelle to her supervisors, but no meaningful action was taken. Her brother cautioned her about Chappelle's controlling nature, saying, "Joe's dangerous. He won't let go." Despite her efforts, the danger closed in. On February 13, 1998, Vivian contacted authorities for protection. Hours later, she was dead, her body ravaged by multiple stab wounds to her chest, arms and torso. Her 2 young children, including Ashley, were also attacked. Ashley, only 10, suffered 14 stab wounds, enduring severe trauma, heart complications, and tendon damage that would affect her for life. Miraculously, she and her siblings survived. Chappelle's rampage continued beyond the apartment. He fled, attacking others in a violent spree, shooting a 21-year-old woman and wounding 2 firefighters before leading police on a chaotic chase through West Toledo. His life ended in a hail of police gunfire. For Ashley, the trauma of that night became a permanent part of her, shaping her life in profound ways. 2 years before her death, she shared her survival story with WTO11, her words a powerful reflection of resilience and the weight of her past. Ashley, sometimes known as Ashley Morris, was 37 when she died in 2025. The violence that defined her childhood found her again, as if fate refused to release its grip. The man who took her life claimed to love her, just as Chappelle had claimed with her mother. Ashley had tried to warn others, reaching out through social media to express her growing fear, but her pleas went unanswered, and tragedy struck once more. This is not just Ashley's story, or Vivian. It's a story of a system that failed to protect, of a woman's courage in the face of fear, and of a community left to mourn a mother and daughter, lost to similar fates. It's a call to act, to recognize danger, and to intervene before another life is stolen. After the horrific 1998 stabbing that claimed her mother's life and left Ashley Fonseca with 14 stab wounds, her childhood was marked by resilience amid deep pain. At just 10 years old, Ashley faced physical and emotional scars that shaped her growing years. The trauma left her with lasting health issues, including heart and tendon problems, requiring ongoing medical care. Despite this, she forged ahead, carrying her past, while striving to create a future. Ashley grew up in Toledo, Ohio, deeply tied to her hometown. She attended local schools and was active in community events, from church gatherings to neighborhood cleanups. Friends described her as warm and generous, always offering a kind word, a homemade dish, or a comforting embrace. Her ability to connect with others stood out, even as she navigated her own struggles. As a teenager and young adult, Ashley faced the challenge of life without her mother. The loss and violence she endured left a lasting mark, but she showed strength by sharing her story publicly. Ashley became a mother to two sons, DeAndre, 15, and D'Angelo, 7. She devoted herself to raising them, aiming to provide the stability she lost as a child. She was a nurturing presence, always prioritizing her boy. A childhood friend recalled her as someone who radiated warmth, a quality she poured into her children and community. Professionally, Ashley found her passion in creative work. She built a career as a graphic designer in Hawaii, specializing in branding and website development for small businesses. Her portfolio highlighted her enthusiasm for empowering clients, describing herself as their biggest supporter. She offered services like logo design and social media support, taking pride in work that made a difference. A client praised her for revamping their business logo, noting how her creativity boosted their confidence to grow. Despite her achievements, Ashley's life was not without challenges. The trauma of her childhood lingered, affecting her personal relationships. By 2025, she was back in Toledo at the Boulder Creek Apartments, raising her son. Her past experiences with violence made her cautious, and she remained alert to threats, as seen in her efforts to seek help when she felt unsafe. Details about how Ashley met Lawrence Moore are scarce, as their relationship's origins were not widely documented. By early 2025, they were living together at the Boulder Creek Apartments on South Burn Road in Toledo. Given Ashley's role as a graphic designer and her active community involvement, they may have met through local social or professional networks. Moore, a Toledo resident, had a troubling history, including a 2013 domestic violence conviction after a no-contest plea and a dropped domestic violence charge in Ashley, known for her compassionate nature, may have initially seen him as someone seeking redemption, a common dynamic in relationships that later turn abusive. Ashley's trusting personality, shaped by her desire to see the good in others, likely played a role in their early connection. Her focus on raising her sons and rebuilding her life after years of health challenges may have made her vulnerable to someone who offered support, even if his past suggested danger. Ashley and Moore's relationship appeared serious as they shared a home. However, it soon became marked by Moore's controlling and abusive behavior. Reports indicate Ashley felt increasingly unsafe, a fear she expressed publicly online. Her social media post revealed a pattern of intimidation, with Moore using verbal threats and destructive actions to assert dominance. This created a climate of fear, echoing the harassment her mother faced from Joseph Chappelle. And like her mother, Ashley sought help, using social media to reach out to her community. Her post highlighted her desperation, but no effective intervention followed. In one post, she said, "I can't take this in my voice threatening me. He's gonna punch me in my face and knock my teeth out, and my kids are gonna be motherless, constantly putting the gun up against my head or shoving it in my stomach, destroying my stuff every chance. This is getting out of control. I don't feel safe." But the absence of documented protective orders or police action before the final incident suggests her efforts to seek safety were not met with sufficient support, a tragic mirror to her mother's experience. Ashley's sons, DeAndre and D'Angelo, were central to her life, and their presence in the apartment exposed them to Moore's behavior. While specific details about Moore's daily interactions with the boys are limited, the events of June 25, both sons were home during the shooting, with DeAndre making the 911 call, indicating they witnessed the violence. This placed them in a traumatic role, forced to act as their mother fought for her life. The father of one of the boys, speaking anonymously to 13 Action News, expressed heartbreak over the trauma his son endured, saying, "I was just hugging him and trying to hold him and letting him know everything is going to be okay." He added, "I hate that my son's mom had to experience this," and he worried about the long-term impact on the boys. Moore's abusive behavior toward Ashley likely created a tense and frightening environment for the boys, undermining their sense of safety. There is no evidence he acted as a positive figure in their lives, and his actions ultimately left them without their mother. Lawrence Moore's history and actions raised clear warning signs. His 2013 domestic violence conviction and 2020 charge, later dropped, pointed to a pattern of abusive behavior. In the relationship, his actions escalated from verbal intimidation to physical threats, including using a firearm to terrorize Ashley. He also destroyed her belongings.
There is a guy that just pulled in the backyard. He has got a knife.
Now, there's not a Friday the 13th that goes by that it doesn't come back into my mind.
Hey, dispatch, we got people all over this place here panicking.
I mean, it still feels fresh. You know, I was old enough to still remember everything, so I was 10 and I can remember everything, like everything.
Ashley Morris was 10 when the man stalking her mother repeatedly stabbed her.
Like if I can replay it again, like I'm there. I remember every little detail.
Joe Chappell worked with and was obsessed with Ashley's mom, Vivian Morris, and he couldn't handle the rejection. That Friday afternoon, he attacked Ashley first.
I got stabbed 14 times. I remember, I got all the scars everywhere.
Ashley's death at 7:47 p.m. on June 26 marked the end of a life shaped by survival, from 14 stab wounds at 10 to a final fatal assault. Her story carries a weight that demands attention. Through her community's grief, her son's loss, and her own courage, Ashley's life calls for action, to see the signs, to listen to cries for help, and to protect those still in danger. Her death is a reminder that systems must change to prevent another tragedy. Ashley was not just a victim, but a survivor.